a couple sections ago. And the changes that we're going to want to make is we want to add some sort of header that's going to have a color background, so that way we'll be able to differentiate each of the different sections that we're going through, as well as we want to move it down a little bit. So we'll be focusing on that in this section. Then, depending how long that takes, we might just move on to the next section, which is the property. So I'm going to go into the code and have a look. So in order to move it down, we need to go maybe in the wizard. Yeah, where we have the grid template areas. Now I'm using rows. I have two rows, row A and row B. Then I have the min-max set here. So the minimum is 10 rem and the max is 12 rem. That's representing this top portion right here. So if I wanted to, I could just increase that size. So I'll do that, see what happens. I'll make it 18 rem and 20 rem. Now later we're going to be having the chart showing up here. So it's actually, we're going to want it to be fairly large. But I'll just pop it down for now and see how that looks. I'll bring it down just a little bit more. And then I'm going to have to play around. Once I put in the chart and everything, I'll have to kind of change this asset so it looks a little bit better. I might also want to skinny down this add component. I think I'm going to do that. So in investment assets. Now one thing that's really interesting with in here in Adobe XD is if I click on it, I click on this, I can see here the size. So I'm just going to unlock this piece. And it's not really fair for you guys to have to learn this as well, Adobe XD, but this is just helpful for me. So if I click on this, I have a width of 900 and a height of 320, and those are pixels. So I tried to build it so it's the same layout here. So if I go into investment assets, the container is 35 rem, which is 350 pixels, because each rem is a pixel, so, or 10 pixels. So I'm just going to trim it down a little bit and see what that does. Yeah, I kind of like that a little bit more. And then I'm going to have to trim this choose one as well. So I'm going to go down into UI. I don't mind too much if you guys change stuff in the UI. Don't be too afraid of that. Just as long as it won't mess up other areas if you don't think it will. But particularly in this case, this is the one section where we're using this, so I think it's okay. Gonna have to bring it down even more. So the choose one height of this, let's try 28. Oh no, wait. 30. So the container contains the title as well. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Yeah. Oh, but we lost the TFSA again. Ugh. Okay, so I will figure that out another time. I'm not sure why it's causing that issue and not just starting from the top. Oh, I think it's starting. Is the TFSA not in the select? Yeah, it's like, that's so weird. Huh. And then the label, maybe it needs a height. Okay, so the label not having a height is what's happening, is it's not pushing it down. So I'm just going to give the height a little bit more there. So the height will be 5, which means the container has to be 5 more than the wrapper for the select bars. I hope that makes sense for you guys. No. Why is it doing that? Why is it starting from up here? Okay, I'll figure that out another time. Let's not worry about it for now. I don't want to waste too much of your time. So here we are. Then I'm going to add a title here in this section. So we're in investments. I'm going to go into investment assets here. And in order to do a title, I'm thinking that I'll use flex box and have the setting be column, and then have the title bar be a width of 100%. So in order to do that, I'm going to, because this section here is flexbox, but it's row, because this is 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to have to build another one of these that's wrapping this section. So basically a wrapper that wraps the whole thing and then is column. So let's do that. I'm going to call it wrapper. Okay, so wrapper is going to be display flex, and it'll be really similar to container. Ooh, wrapper has to be grid area B. So I'm gonna steal all of these. Okay, put them in wrapper. Because before container was the main outside wrapper, but now we're doing another one. Okay, just gonna move it in one. Close this so it's not bothering you. Okay, so we've got that wrapper, and then we've got its width set. Let's see what that does. It's gonna have to be a little taller. Good, doesn't look any different. Then I'm gonna make a header. And header will be 100%. Background. Now this is where I'm going to be using the styled components to switch the color out of the background. For now, I'm just going to hard code in a color. I'm just going to steal one from my themes. Let's do slate, the slate color. Actually, so if I wanted, I'll show you how I would type that in. So here, because it has access to the props that are being passed down, we go like this. We say props, and then it's props.theme.color, and it's named slate.slate. So that way we've got that color coming down from the main theme. Then we will put our header here, and I will just hard code in investment assets. So later we're going to make this changing so that we have this component reusable for all sorts of different types of assets and liabilities that we're using it for. And then I'm going to make its height 3 rem, and I think I'm going to make this in here an H2. So I'm just going to go H2. And fingers crossed that that worked. Let's see. Ooh, that looks bad. It's already been declared. Where did I declare it? I already pulled it in from here because I had copied, which I shouldn't be doing. Problem with copying is then you get a bunch of junk stuff. Okay, so we can see here we've got the header. Turns out it's the same color as up here, so maybe we should change the color. I'm going to change it from slate to blue. Then I'm going to make the text color. It will be props. And I've just memorized the different color names, so you'd probably have to go back into styles and theme and then look if you wanted to grab the name. .theme, .color, .ice. Ice is kind of my white color that I like. I think I did that right. Yes, let's see here. Cool. All right, and then it doesn't have the border radius. Oh shoot, yeah, it's not a nice, dang. Okay, so we're gonna make the border radius is gonna be the outside other one. So here we are, back into container. I'm gonna steal these two, and I'll go up into wrapper, and then I'm gonna make overflow hidden so that we have the carry through of the border radius. Let's see how this looks. Nice. Perfect. And I'm going to make it a little taller. So the header will be 5 rem. Ooh, that's a little tall. 4 rem. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. Still a little too tall. The whole thing is a bit too tall. Oh, because we've added that on now. So I'm going to have to shorten down the container section. So in container, I'll make its height, let's try 24 rem or 28 rem. Don't like how it's overflowing behind these buttons. It's 28. Okay, so I just hadn't set a proper height for the wrapper, so I'm just going to increase the height a little bit. We'll make it 35. Because the button's squished in there. Ooh, that's a nice height, but then I want to trim this down. And I don't want to spend too much time just doing CSS stuff with you guys. I will just move this button, and then I'm going to ignore this and fix that a little later. So the button wrapper, bottom 1 rem. Let's see what happens if I do that. Brings it down a little bit. I'll maybe say 0. What happens there? It's probably pushing up against some padding that I have set. Okay. Sure, that looks good. Good enough. And I will fix this in a little bit. So now, if we did an investment, we could say my TFSA. And then ideally, we could just click here, TFSA, so that we know that's the type that it is. Then say you invested a certain amount, so on and so forth, but it's worth more now. So that'll be helpful, really helpful to know the difference change between the values if they're willing to give that. That'd be just super great for tax calculations and stuff. Then if I add it, boom, resets this. We don't get any feedback up here that it's being added. But if we go into the console, into our reducer, in assets, so you can see I've added a whole bunch of other ones, but we've added this TFSA. Nice. Looks good. We got the current value and we got the book value. Fantastic. So this is being stored nicely. Now we're going to build the property one. Okay, so basically it's just going to be the same thing. And that's why we're going to be making this all one component once we know the requirements for each one. Okay, then I'm going to go into my wizard. I'm going to pull that property one in here, and then I'm going to turn up the count. So it'll be on the next click. So if count is 2, then it would also be really nice to have some sort of component that's rendering this so that we don't have to be coding this in every time. I don't like hard coding things like that. So if count is 3, but sometimes you just got to get the big picture so you know what you need to refactor to. I won't have that there. And then this is going to say property assets, which we've brought in. So let's see. Wow, this is slow. Sorry to be holding you up. let's try again here. Maybe in the meantime, I'll do some coding in the property section. So in property, we know we want to have a different color for the top. So I'm going to go down into style and check out the themes for the color and see. I'll grab sandy. That's what I'd used in my prototype. So in property, I'm going to make its background color for the header will be sandy. Okay. It's having trouble with that. That's good to know. So in the wizard, we accidentally have a separate semicolon there. Okay, so we click this. Ooh, I thought we changed the color, but we didn't. So we go into here. Should change. What did I do wrong? Property assets. It's not getting this color properly. And we go into the wizard to make sure. Yeah. And then property would be like primary residence, rental properties, vacation cottage, and then I'll just say other. Vehicle, actually. Vehicle, other. So we click this. Property assets, perfect. The color's coming through. When I scroll here, this is still giving me trouble. Now I'm gonna look at my thing here. We've got the long term, so in property, this wants a purchase value, and this would be called appreciation, value appreciation, rather than return on investment. So I will see about changing that, and then market value. So it's basically the same. We just got to change from cash value to market value. So in here, I'm going to call this market value. Okay, and I'll say purchase price because we don't say book value of a house. And then the interest rate will be the appreciation. Value appreciation rate. Cool, let's check that out. Oh, so you'll notice I hadn't set the count to be a default of 3, so it's always bringing us back. Every time it redoes, it goes back to 2. So that looks good. I will go into investment assets, normal wizard, set the U state to 3. Okay, so we could say like my house, say I got it for 300,000. Now they can also type it in, which is nice. If I was the person, I would probably just be typing them in because that's so much easier than the range bars. But the range bars are fun. They make it look fancier. Okay, so we've got that. You'd want to give it some appreciation, maybe around 3%. And say that it's a primary residence. We'll have to change that. And go add. Check out our reducer. Boom, there we go. So we have the house is showing up right here. It's got a nice ID, and we can change it. Perfect. So later when we're editing, we'll be able to click on it, pass in the details from the reducer, and then rather than having it communicate with how we're doing it here, how it's storing the state locally, instead then when you change it, it's going to be changing it in the reducer. Then the reducer will be updating the charts. So that's just how we'll tackle that in a little bit. And I think I'm going to pause here, and then we can go on to the next section.